I don't know where you find yourself today, but if you find yourself in the midst of struggles and hard times, keep listening to this because this is a message for you. Hi, I'm Sam, and I am encouraging you to carry the kingdom wherever God has called you to be. So, this message that I have is called Overcoming Trials. And it's like, okay, that's so vague, but keep listening. We go through such hard times, and we are so hard on ourselves when we go through hard times. And we read the Bible and we know that we're going to experience hard times, but they still come as a shock and it still stings when we go through a hard time, doesn't it? So, I want to take us to a scripture that really tells us straight up how to overcome. And it is Revelation 12:11. And it says, they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony. They, as in the saints, as in us, overcame him who is Satan, or in the previous verse, they call him the accuser, by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony. Okay, great. Like, what does that even mean, though? Like, you hear that all the time, like, apply the blood applied. But what does that mean? And what are the practical steps to what that looks like? So, I want to take us to another verse, James 1, verse 2 and 3. It says, count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds. I got my notes down here. For you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. And so the first part of this is my first point. It says when you meet various kinds of trials. It's not saying just one particular trial. It's not just saying when you face persecution. It's not just saying when you face death. It's not just saying when you face sickness. It's saying when you meet various kinds of trials. So, what that speaks is God cares about each trial. God cares about each trial, big and small. So, stand firm in the fact that the blood represents his love for us. He's not disappointed that you're struggling with certain things. He's not disappointed that you're going through this trial. He knows that this trial is producing something in you, and he wants you to know that he loves you. Now, the second part of this verse talks about testing, for you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. And I don't know about you, but I do not like testing. And I've had to switch my frame of mind into thinking that God is like a professor with his glasses on and paper and pen in hand and grading me on an ABCDF scale. That's not the case. And I have done this so much where I'm like, I look back on a past trial and I'm like, I failed that. I did really bad. That is an F. And God, I know you're grading this as an F too. That's not what the blood of the Lamb says. The blood of the Lamb grades us as righteous. God isn't grading us on an A, B, C, D, F scale. The testing, I see it more as a chef testing out a recipe that he's so excited to serve to the world, right? He's like, maybe it needs more salt. Maybe it needs less potatoes. Maybe it needs more time on heat, right? He's not testing us like a professor does, where it's this high pressure situation. He's testing us like a chef testing a recipe. That's my second point. God has graded you as righteous, right? So stand firm in that. And it's not by you and your works, it's by Jesus and his sacrifice. And so my third point is focusing on what this verse doesn't say. The verse doesn't say, be ashamed when you go through a hard time. The Lord has abandoned and rejected you. It's such our human nature to feel that. And we see that all throughout the Psalms. We see people, David and other psalmists, just crying out, like, Lord, where are you? Go deal with my foes. It's our human nature that cries out, God, where are you during hard times? But this verse doesn't say that God is abandoning us in hard times, so we must be ashamed. This verse is saying, count it all joy when you meet trials of various kinds, because the Lord hasn't abandoned us. It never says that we are being abandoned by the Lord. And we know this because Jesus died for our sins. In Psalm 22, David cries out, Lord, why have you forsaken me? And we see Jesus crying this out on the cross. Jesus was the one who took the wrath of God and who became separated, who became a curse so that we can become free, so that we might not have to deal with that abandonment and rejection. And yet, when we go through a hard time, we lay that on ourselves. And I want to say, stand firm, brothers and sisters, that the Lord has not abandoned you. You, in your hard time, the Lord has not rejected you. Stand firm that the blood covered that. Stand firm that the blood tore the curtain, that you are no longer separated from God, even through hard trials. And my fourth point in this on how to apply the blood is the blood sanctifies us and he will finish what he started. So stand firm in that. A lot of times when we go through trials, we lay on the guilt, right? We're thinking God abandoned us. We're thinking God's grading us. We're thinking that, oh, this trial isn't big enough for God to care about. We lay it on ourselves. And another thing that we lay on ourselves is, I'm not doing this very well. I'm not handling this very well. We also really judge ourselves harshly in hard times. And Hebrews 13:12 talks about this, that the blood sanctifies us. And so even when you feel like garbage, even when you're like, man, I failed that trial, just know that it's not failed because you came through it. Failing would be going and sitting in the kingdom of evil and of darkness, because that's what the devil wants. He wants us to be a part of his kingdom. But if we come out of a trial and we are like more hungry for God's kingdom, yeah, we might be a little burnt out, but if we're still like limping along in the kingdom of light, we have succeeded. We think, man, because I'm limping, I failed. I've done bad. I need to do better next time. And I just want to like take that yoke of guilt off of you right now and say, no, you are standing in the kingdom of light. You are still believing in Jesus, that he has good plans for you. Even if you're limping along, you have scathed the kingdom of darkness. And that's the good work that God is doing through us as he walks with us through trials. So we overcome by the blood of the lamb. We fight the lies of the accuser. We fight the lies that the blood hasn't done enough, and we stand firm in these facts. It's not going to make the trial easier, right? It's going to suck. It's going to be hard. It's going to require so much energy from us. But if we can stand firm in these truths, we're going to be using our shield of faith and our armor of God to make sure that the devil cannot come near us and that we will not succumb to the kingdom of darkness. And so, my fifth point is that they also overcame by the word of their testimony. A lot of times when we're going through a hard time, the word of our testimony is death and destruction. Not intentionally, it just is. Many of us, including myself, are worst case scenario people. And so we're jumping the gun. We're like, man, I got to make plans in my head because I want to find comfort in my plans for when XYZ happens, rather than finding comfort and refuge in the Lord. And so many times when we're struggling, the word of our testimony does not align with the word of Jesus's testimony for our lives, for God's testimony for our lives. And it has to align with the truth, because that is how we overcome. The kingdom of darkness will slowly start sucking us in when we start believing that God does not have good plans for our lives. And I know it's so hard. It's so hard when you are face to face with death, when you are face to face battling illness. It is hard to believe that God has good plans for you. But I want to encourage you. Make sure you're gearing up with your armor and believing and overcoming by the word of your testimony. And we we all have testimonies that Jesus has done great things for our lives. And so if he's done it then, he will continue to do it. And I want to encourage you, surround yourself with people who believe this and who can stand with you in this and encourage you to believe this. By the word of our testimony, death is not our future. By the word of our testimony, the kingdom of darkness is not our future, no matter what happens. And I had this revelation this morning. It's not death that we need to be trying to ward off. It is the kingdom of darkness that we need to be trying to ward off, right? Because it doesn't matter if we experience death, if people around us experience death, that's not the end. But when we succumb to the kingdom of evil and darkness, that's the true death. And that's the true battle. We may face death, and we're going to face death. That's a certain. We're going to face death. But when we do it and we're standing firm in God's kingdom, in the kingdom of light, we've succeeded. We've won. We can be killed for our faith and we can still win. And so let that hold true for you. Even if you're dealing with chronic illness, even if you're dealing with death, trust that still God has good plans for you, that God has a future and a hope for you, and that you will continue in the kingdom of light and you will be strengthened, and God will use what the enemy meant for evil for good. And you will see it in the day that that comes. You'll cry and weep because you're like, I can't believe God is using that horrible, icky thing for his glory, for his good, to encourage others. So stand firm that he has good plans for you. Stand firm in the kingdom of light. Stand firm in the word of your testimony. So remember, God cares about your struggle. God cares about your trial. God is not grading you. He's graded you as righteous. God has not abandoned you nor rejected you. Remember that he is producing good fruit in you, even if you don't feel like it. And hold on to the fact that he has good plans for you. Overcome your struggle by the blood of the Lamb and the word of your testimony. So thank you so much for listening. I want to encourage you, go to wherever God has sent you and carry the kingdom.